Well, this is the most exciting part. This is about figuring out how you get paid. So, on behalf of the entire Gerson family, we're so thrilled that you're taking time to fill out the paperwork. I have G with me, who works in the accounting department, and he's going to explain to you a little bit about what you need as well. So, we're going to talk about the payroll records, the agreement for at-will employment, the receipt for the employment handbook. We need that from you. Your Form W-4, the Form I-9 and instructions, those are all government forms that we have to have you do. Workers' comp acknowledgement and an arbitration agreement. You must complete sections 1 on Form 1 through 9. You can see pages 7 through 12 for instructions. How about that for confusion? You must also have sections 2 of the Form I-9 completed and signed by a department head. If you have any questions, you can always call G directly in the personnel department. So don't be concerned about not doing it 100% right. We'll work with you. None of us like paperwork. That's why we got into this business. So G's going to say hi real quick, and he's going to talk to you about some very cool things. In fact, what he's going to do is actually walk through the form and read it to you.
Thank you very much, Glenn, for that great introduction. Now, at the very first page that we encounter, it is the Malibu Conference Center payroll record. That more or less is going to give us a little more information about you as an individual. The first couple of things that you have to take into account is the date hired, which will be the date you as an employee will be coming to work at the Malibu Conference Center. Some basic information that will be needed from you will be your social security number, your full name, first name, and middle name, your current address, your home phone number. That could be either a landline or a cell phone. Of course, your birthday, your gender. If you will be a wait staff, you will be required to obtain a ServSafe food handler's card required by all wait staff in California. The pay rate will be given to you by your hired manager. Your tax status, whether you're married or single, your withholding allowance, this is your dependents and how many dependents you want to claim, and of course your employee signature. And last but not least, the date.
All right, that sounds great, G. And then we're going to go to the next piece. We're going to go through this one page at a time. Don't be falling asleep. Hey, wake up. If you don't think this is fun, wait till you get 300 people asking for something at the same time. What G's going to talk to you now is something called the Agreement for At-Will Employment. It's important that you sign that. It's important that you understand it. Take your time and read through every word. If you need to, you can see G and he'll read it to you because he's going to do it for you right this second.
It's more or less just an agreement between us as employers and you as an employee that we will not release any inaccurate information about your employment. And it reads as follows. If hired and in the event of my termination, I authorize the employer to release information concerning my employment relationship to anyone making an inquiry as to my employment with the employer. Should the employer release said information, the employer should not be liable under any circumstance so long as the information released was not known to be inaccurate. This more or less gives us 30 days to basically give an evaluation for you as a new employee. All you need to do on this sheet is initial it, sign it, and date it.
So if you're wondering what the definition of at-will employee is, here it is. Employment at will. All right, what does it actually mean? It means if you're employed at will, your employer doesn't need good cause to fire you. So don't fuck up. Malibu Conference Center receipt for employee handbook. This is critical. The employee handbook is something that everyone here has worked very hard on. It gives you all the background, all the information that you need. So most people look at it, put it in a drawer, take some time and read it. And G will give you a little background on that too.
This form basically states that you received the employee handbook. Now you can always request for one of these handbooks. There are a couple stationary locations where you can actually find this handbook.
Good. How's it get any better than that? Handbooks at your convenience. Okay, let's go to the next piece of this. Form W-4 is about your employee withholding allowance certificate, and you can go through and actually figure this one out. Just take your time, read through it, put your name, last name, social security number. Same stuff G was talking about earlier. So he's available to coach you through that. But one of the fun parts about working here at Calamigos Ranch for both MCafe and for the events is that you get to do different stuff. You're not stuck in one place. You get to do all kinds of fun things. But each one of those jobs may have a different pay rate. So G's going to explain that to you.
Working here, you might be able to actually work at another location, and this part of the document asks about deductions you might have at the other workplace and other dependents that you may have listed in your other employer.
So you could be doing maintenance, you could be working, you could be helping out with the boats, you could be a server at M Cafe, or you could be valet parking. So if you can figure out a way to get bored here, let us know, will you? Make sure you call G with that and say, hey, I'm bored.
I always have work to do.
So what else on there, G?
The one last thing is that there are two tables that you might want to take into account. They basically state and give you a range of your pay rate and total amount that you make at every location. So pay close attention to table 1 if you have more than one job. Pay close attention to table 2 if you hold 3 or more jobs at the same time.
The next thing we're looking at is the Form I-9. We've all heard about that. That's instructions for employment eligibility and verification from the Department of Homeland Security. You heard of them. Of all the forms you're going to fill out, the G will explain it to you too. But the I-9 is one of the most important. We're very scrutinized by government agencies. That being the case, we've got to have our paperwork right. So I-9 is critical that you fill that out. You can't get paid without getting it right. All right, G, any thoughts about the I-9 form?
Well, it's a couple of things you must have in order to correctly fill out this I-9 form. One being your documents that state identity and employment authorization. If you have in possession one identity employment authorization document listed on this page, which is list A, that is the only form of identity and or employment authorization needed. If you have a U.S. passport, if you have a permanent resident card, if you have a foreign passport that contains a temporary stamp allowing you to work in the United States, this is the only form of identity and document that you need. If you do not have a document from list A, search through list B. If you have one of those, you are going to be required to have another document in list C.
Is that government or what? If you understood that, you're doing better than all of us. So read through this crap, fill it out right, and you'll get paid. Bottom line is you don't need ID to vote, but you need ID to get paid. All right, you're also going to see notice to employee. Again, you put your employee name, start date, rate of pay, what you're going to get for overtime, sign it. It just gives you the dates that you're going to get paid, which are what, G? When do they get paid?
Every 5th and 20th of every month. So more or less, we are on a semi-monthly payroll.
Next form is your workers' compensation form. It's information for you to know that we have workers' compensation and our carrier. So sign that you acknowledge that you know we have workers' compensation, and you're great. The next piece of paper is something called an arbitration agreement. And an arbitration agreement basically says that if there is a problem, we're not going to court with a bunch of judges. We're going to go to an arbiter who can very quickly resolve any discrepancies that either one of us might have. I know that's kind of sounds negative. It's really not. It's a very easy way in business to go ahead and resolve any issues you might have. So go ahead and sign that. All right, well, that does it, folks. We're excited that you're going to be working with us. And remember, we're in the business of selling a smile. Make sure that everybody leaves feeling better. We call it a PEC, a positive emotional connection. Everybody you meet, give them a little peck.